Governor Rick Perry drew his 6 guns and let Governor Romney have it, with both barrels over Romney's failure to produce his personal tax returns. But the biggest soundbite of last night goes to the other cowboy from Texas, Congressman Ron Paul, whose tax ideas outgunned his opponents. Take a listen to this.
Mitt, we need for you to release your income tax so the people of this country can see how you made your money. And I think that's a fair thing.
I have nothing in them that suggests there's any problem, and I'm happy to do so. What's happened in history is people have released them in about April of the coming year, and that's probably what I do.
We should have the lowest tax that we've ever had, and up until 1913, it was 0%. What's so bad about that?
So your answer is zero.
Zero. Joining me now to discuss abolishing the income tax is a man who's no stranger to studying and analyzing taxes. He's Steve Moore, head of the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal and a good friend of the show. Steve, it's a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom
Judge,
Watch.
Great to be with you.
Can we take Congressman Paul seriously at his word that were he to be nominated and then elected president, he would move to reduce the income tax rates to zero, or as he says, gradually abolish the income tax, shrink the government down to its constitutional size, and force it to go to other resources for cash?
Well, Judge, think about this. This is a point that Ron Paul made very effectively last night, which was that for the first, roughly 130, 140 years of our nation, we didn't have an income tax. And yet we did have a prosperous country. We got richer every year. And so there's no reason we can't imagine what America would be like without an income tax. And what I really like about the way he frames this issue, Judge, as you know, I'm an economist. I mean, can you imagine America's position, competitive position in the world, if Ron Paul were able to get our income tax rate down to zero when other countries have 30, 40, 50% rates? You would see the most massive insourcing of jobs into America in the history of the world.
And everyone's wealth would increase as a result of that prosperity generated without the heavy hand of government.
That's right. Now, you asked me the question, Judge, could he do it? Could we actually reduce government spending enough to eliminate the $1 trillion or so we raise each year for an income tax? That's a pretty heavy lift. I've been in this town for 27 years. It's hard enough to cut $100 billion out of the budget, let alone $1 trillion. But look, if Ron Paul were elected president, I believe he would have the moral authority and the mandate from voters to do this.
To what do you attribute his popularity among young people, and to what do you attribute his remarkable popularity amongst active duty military, from whom he receives more political contributions than the other Republican candidates and the president?
Well, I could speak about the young people because I have 2 young people in my home who are 18 and 19 years old who came home from college, over Christmas vacation with all these Ron Paul stickers and bumper stickers. And you know what? He just speaks to the aspirations of young people who understand that the wheels have come off this economy, that the income tax is an albatross around our neck, that government has become so large that the only jobs that are available for college graduates are now to go work for the Postal Service or work for the government. And you know what? The young people don't like that direction. They like his idealism. I liken this to sort of the idealism that on the other side of the aisle that Barack Obama had, as you recall, in 2008. He appealed to young people. Now we're getting those idealists moving more to the right. They've seen the failure of Obamonomics and big government, and they are very attracted to Ron Paul's limited government, low tax, more freedom agenda.
You and I both believe that you own your own body and you ought to be able to put into your body whatever you want. Is it fair for the Gingrich, Santorum, and Romney crowd to disparage Ron Paul's young supporters, saying, the only thing they want is legalization of marijuana? That's the only thing they care about.
Well, you know, I think that Ron Paul, look, I don't think Ron Paul is very likely to win this nomination, but he could. But the reason that Ron Paul is so critical to the Republican Party is that those are the voters that are going to determine not just potentially this election, but think about this. You know, the way people vote when they're 18 to 25 years old, all studies show that then they get into that habit of voting either Democrat or Republican. So I believe that he is an essential part of the Republican coalition, and Republicans better pay very close attention to what he's saying and not disparage or belittle the kinds of positions he's taken on things like drug legalization. I mean, honest people can disagree on it, but to simply say that he's just for pot smokers, I think is to belittle a position. Look, I had never smoked pot in my life, but I believe that everybody should have the right to do so without the government coming in their house and putting them in jail.
Got it. Steve Moore, thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you, Judge.
Up next, meet the little